For this activity, we are going to learn about natural resources, West Virginia's economic history. Please read along with me under Section 2, Economics, in your 4-H project booklet. You will be completing a crossword puzzle at the end of this activity. Everything you need to know to complete the crossword puzzle is found in this video. When people think about West Virginia's economy, they tend to think about the industries related to our natural resources. First, some of these industries are major players in the state's overall economy. Second, much of the state's history is tied to these industries. For decades, industries have risen and fallen in West Virginia. The section below describes some of the industries related to natural resources that have played a part in our state's history. Timber. West Virginia is blessed with mountainsides covered with trees. Trees are valuable because they can be used to make wood, paper, and a multitude of other products, including charcoal. The process of cutting down trees is called timbering. The process of moving the trees to somewhere that can be turned into other things is called logging. Sawmills are used to turn the logs into lumber, which is used to construct buildings. Coal. Underneath the surface, much of West Virginia is rich in coal. Coal is a sedimentary rock that takes many years to make. Coal is made from dead plants that are compacted and heated so much and for so long that the chemical structures of plants changes into rock. Rock or coal is primarily used to make electricity. It is also used to heat homes and to make many products used in everyday life. Salt. Also under the surface of West Virginia, there are pockets of salt brine, which is prehistoric seawater. As far back as the late 1700s, pioneers in the Kanawha Valley used saltwater springs to collect salt. Salt was valuable because it was necessary to preserve food. Over a century later, as the chemical industry emerged, salt became an important ingredient for developing chemicals like chlorine, which is produced in the Kanawha Valley. Rock salt is also found under West Virginia's surface. Today, salt is extracted from rock salt in Marshall and Tyler counties and transported to chemical companies in the Kanawha Valley. Oil. In the early days of drilling for salt brine, the drillers often encountered oil, but it was not valuable to them. Later in the mid-1800s, burning oil in lamps was the primary source of light indoors. With an economic demand for oil, the equipment used to drill for salt brine started being used to drill for oil. One of the first oil wells in the country was located at Burning Springs in Wirt County. The barrels of oil were floated down the Little Kanawha River to Parkersburg, where it was then shipped elsewhere. Before the Civil War, the oil fields at Burning Springs was one of 2 locations in the world that was producing oil. Within a generation, the industry boomed with nearly 300 wells just in West Virginia. As the 1900s began, the industry declined. The onset of new methods of drilling allowed deeper wells to be developed. Notable wells were developed in Mannington and Sisterville. Iron ore. Iron ore was one of the earliest minerals to be extracted by pioneers. Mixed in with layers of earth, iron ore can be washed and broken into bits that can be burned in an iron furnace to create pig iron. Blacksmiths used pig iron to create wrought iron, which was used to make tools, weapons, and stoves. In 1794, the availability of iron ore led to the establishment of the Federal Armory at Harper's Ferry, where guns were made. Around that time, many iron furnaces were also established in the Cheat River and Monongahela River valleys. The Henry Clay Furnace still stands in what is now Cooper's Rock State Forest. The iron industry had a major impact on the northern panhandle. In the mid-1800s, Wheeling became widely known as Nail City because of the number of nails that were produced there. Finally, agriculture. When settlers first arrived in West Virginia, there were woodsmen, hunters, trappers, and gatherers. As they cleared and worked the land, the need for hunting and gathering became less essential for families to thrive because they started cultivating the land and raising animals. Hunting and gathering continued to hold value for trade, but between the late 1700s and early 1800s, domestication of livestock, grains, and fruit production became vital to West Virginians. By 1869, there were over 40,000 farms in the state, totaling 8.6 million acres. Most of the farmland was used for hay and pasture. At the time, the majority of the land was considered unsuitable for row and grain crops due to the terrain and soil quality. Farmers were very progressive during the time and made adjustments to the soil by applying bone meal, lime, and rock phosphate. By doing this, they could achieve a more desirable pH and correct the phosphorus deficiency.
Now I will help you get started on the crossword puzzle found at the end of the economics section. On the left page, you will see crossword connection. Underneath that, you will see the questions for the crossword puzzle. On the opposite page is the word bank and the crossword puzzle. I will read the first question, and I will need you to look in the word bank for the answer. Question 6 across. Coal is primarily used to provide this utility. Now look at your word bank to find the answer. Remember, we read all of this information. That's right, the answer to 6 across is electricity. Now, it's your job to write the word electricity in the crossword puzzle. Since the question was 6 across, we know the answer is written across and not down. Make sure to do neat work and place one letter in each box.
After you've completed your word search, turn to the page, the Talk It Over activity found here. Here we would like you to discuss with your class more about West Virginia natural resources and answer the 3 questions listed.